You know that strange thing that happens when you start looking for a specific type of car? Maybe you are thinking about buying it, maybe a friend of you just got one, or maybe you watched a review about it once on YouTube. And then suddenly, poof, you see that car everywhere. In traffic, in parking lots, on the highway, in the background of a movie, at the corner of your street. And this is weird, right? Why are you suddenly seeing this car everywhere? But yeah, the car probably wasn't suddenly appearing more. Your attention changed. The same thing happens with ideas. You learn a new concept and suddenly it appears everywhere. You hear a word for the first time and then suddenly people seem to be using it all the time. You start thinking about moving to a new city, and from that moment, this city appears in conversations, in videos, ads, stories, and even in random comments. It can almost feel like reality itself changed. But what actually changed was your attentional filter. And that's what this video is all about. Why do some things suddenly flood your awareness? Why does your brain highlight certain details and ignore others? And how can you aim your attention consciously? To understand this, we need one simple idea. You do not experience reality directly. You experience reality through a mental filter. And that filter shapes what you notice, how you interpret it, what you feel, and what actions you take. This video focuses on what you notice, because before you interpret something, before you feel something, before you respond to something, it first has to enter your awareness. And attention is the system that decides what gets priority for your awareness. The simplest way to understand attention is this. Attention is the mind's highlighter. It takes a small part of reality and makes it stand out. At every moment, the world contains more information than your brain can ever process in full. There are sounds, there are colors, there are faces, movements, body signals, memories, goals, risks, opportunities, and a constant stream of sensory information. Your brain has to decide what deserves processing right now, what matters, and what can stay in the background. That selection process is attention. And your filter helps decide what gets highlighted. If something matches your goals, it becomes easier to notice. If something stands out strongly, it can grab your attention. And if your brain has learned that something is important, it becomes easier for that thing to enter your awareness again. Attention is based on priority. Priority comes from three things: goal relevance, salience, and learned significance. Goal relevance means, does this match with what I am currently looking for? Salience means, does this stand out because it's loud, bright, sudden, emotional, unusual, or very intense? And learned significance means, has my brain learned that this kind of thing matters? These three things shape what enters your awareness. So, when you suddenly see something everywhere, one of these is usually involved. You are looking for it, it stands out, or your brain has learned that this matters, that it is important. So let's look a little deeper at the first one, goal relevance. When you start looking for something, your brain becomes more ready to notice it. This is what happens with the car. The car becomes relevant to you. So, your attention starts filtering the incoming sensory input differently. Before, the car was part of the background. Now, it matches an active template in your mind. So, poof, it pops out. The same thing happens when you are looking for your friend in a crowd. Hundreds of faces may be around you, but your brain is tuned for one face. Or when you are waiting for your name to be called, a room can be very noisy, but your name will cut through the noise. Your attention is shaped by the question your mind is carrying. If the question is, where is my friend? Your brain scans for your friend. If the question is, what could go wrong? Your brain scans for things that can go wrong. If the question is, how can I improve? your brain scans for usable feedback. If the question is, where's opportunity here? Your brain scans for possibilities. This is why the question you bring into a situation matters so much, because your attention serves the questions you ask. The second one is salience. Some things grab your attention because they stand out. For example, a sudden sound, a very bright color, a sudden movement, a notification, someone saying your name, or a facial expression that changes very quickly. Your brain is built to respond to changes in the environment, because change can be important for your survival. If something moves suddenly, you may need to react, because it could be a dangerous animal. If a sound interrupts the room, you may need to orient, because it could be a tree falling and it could hit you. If someone's tone shifts, you may need to pay attention, because a fight may break out or the other person might have noticed something you have not. Salience is the brain saying, this stands out, check and see if it is important. This is why your phone is so powerful. Notifications are designed to be salient. They are sudden, they are visual, they are social, and they are unpredictable. They interrupt whatever your attention was focused on. But salience does not always mean importance. Something can be very loud without being meaningful. Something can be very emotionally intense without being useful. And something can grab your attention without really deserving your attention. That is why your attention needs to be guided, because whatever stands out can start shaping your reality, even when it's not what matters most. The third one we will look at is learned significance. This is one of the most important parts, because your brain learns which signals matter based on your history. If something has mattered before, your brain becomes more likely to notice it again. For example, if you have often been criticized, you may become very good at noticing signs of criticism. A facial expression, a pause, a change in tone, a short reply, a hesitation. If you have often felt excluded, your attention may become tuned to signs of rejection. Who did not invite you, who looked away, who laughed at you, who answered less warmly than usual. If you have trained in a certain skill, you notice things that others miss. For example, a musician hears certain details in a song. A designer sees spacing, color, and layout. A therapist hears emotional patterns in a conversation. And a mechanic hears something in an engine that someone else would not notice. This is learned significance. Your brain says, this type of signal was important before, so give it priority. And that can be very useful. It helps experts see patterns. It helps you detect danger. It helps you learn from experience. And it helps you move through the world faster. But it can also narrow your reality, because the things your brain has learned to prioritize can take up the space of your attention. So let's make this practical. Imagine two people walk into the same room. One person's filter is set up around rejection. Their attention starts looking for who did not smile, who seems distant, who is talking without them, who looked away, who might be judging them. And another person enters the same room with a different filter setting. Who seems to be open to social connection. And their attention starts looking for who makes eye contact, who seems relaxed, who is standing alone, and who might enjoy a conversation. It's the same room, same people, the same external reality. But the two minds collect different evidence. And once they collect different evidence, they start living in a different psychological world. The first person leaves the room thinking, oh, people don't like me. The second leaves the room thinking, there were a few people I could socially connect with. This is how attention builds your experience. You do not only interpret what you notice, but what you notice becomes the material for interpretation. So, when attention is biased, your whole experience starts leaning in that direction. This is the key point. Attention is not neutral. What you look for matters. What stands out matters. And what your brain has learned is important matters. And together, these forces shape your experienced reality. If you keep scanning for danger, you will find danger cues. If you keep scanning for rejection, you will find rejection cues. If you keep scanning for disrespect, you will find disrespect cues. But if you train your attention towards truth, you will find the truth. If you train it towards connection, you start noticing social possibilities. If you train it towards opportunity, you start seeing opportunities and possibilities. If you train it towards growth, you will start noticing feedback you can use to grow. This does not mean that you can direct your attention perfectly. Some things will still grab your attention involuntarily. A loud sound will still interrupt you. A painful memory can still pull you out of your focus. A strong emotion can still narrow your attention. But you can shape the system. You can train what your mind is prepared to notice. You can choose better questions. You can design your environment with fewer useless distractions. And you can practice looking for the full pattern instead of only the most emotionally loud part of it. Now we can understand the car effect more clearly. When you start caring about a specific car, your brain creates an active template. That template says, this is important, notice this. So, the car gets highlighted. Reality did not suddenly change, your attentional filter changed. The same principle applies to your emotional life. If your filter is using the template, what could go wrong? You notice late replies, serious faces, small changes, and reasons to worry. If your filter is using the template, do they like me? You notice who didn't text you back, who didn't laugh, and who looked away. If your filter is using the template, am I good enough? You notice your mistakes, other people's progress, and everything you can still lack. But if your filter is using the template, what can I do here? You notice the next step, the useful feedback, and the opportunity. That is why your inner question matters. Your attention is always serving something. The question is whether you chose what it is serving. So, now let's look at how you can use this knowledge to become who you could be by applying psychology. Before you enter a situation, ask yourself 3 questions. The first one is, what am I trying to notice here? Because vague attention is easily hijacked. If you walk into a situation with no clear aim, your attention will often default to whatever is most salient or most emotionally available or familiar. So, give your attention a target. For example, I want to notice what is actually being said. I want to notice useful feedback. I want to notice signs of openness. I want to notice what matters most. I want to notice the next best step. The second one is, what question is my attention serving? This is a powerful one because your brain looks for answers to the questions you give it. If the question is, what is wrong with me? Your attention searches for flaws. If the question is, what can I learn here? Your attention searches for useful information. If the question is, who is judging me? Your attention searches for threat. The third question is, what am I scanning for? Am I scanning for danger, rejection, disrespect, failure? Or am I scanning for truth, connection, opportunity, progress, and useful information? This question helps you catch the settings of the filter your mind is using. And once you see the settings, you can consciously adjust them. Now we will look at a few simple attention shifts you can practice yourself. Change, are they judging me? To, what did they actually do or say? Change, what if this goes bad? To, what is the next thing I can handle? Change, why am I like this? To, what is this feeling trying to show me? Change, how do I get out of this? To, what is one step I can move towards? Change, what does this say about me? To, what can I learn from this moment? These questions are attentional instructions. They tell the mind what to highlight, and over time, what you repeatedly highlight becomes easier to see. Here is a simple practice you can try yourself. Use it before a meeting, a conversation, a study session, a social event, or any situation where your filter tends to take over. Take 10 seconds and ask yourself, what am I here to notice? What is the most useful question to carry? And what would I notice if I were looking for the full pattern? For example, before receiving feedback, am I here to notice useful information? Or before a social event, I am here to notice signs of openness and real connection. Before studying, I am here to notice the next thing I do not understand yet. Or before a difficult conversation, I am here to notice what is true, what matters, and what can be repaired. This small reset changes the target. And when the target changes, the attentional spotlight also changes. So, in this video, we looked at the attention side of the filter. Your brain decides what to highlight. What gets your attention starts shaping your experience. But that's only the first step. After something gets highlighted, your brain still has to decide, what does this mean? And that changes everything. Because the same situation can feel completely different, depending on how it gets interpreted. And that's what the next video is about. So, the main idea of today is, attention is the mind's highlighter. What you look for is what you see. And over time, that starts to feel like your reality. So, in real situations, ask yourself, what am I trying to notice here? What question is my mind carrying or serving? And am I scanning for danger, rejection, truth, connection, or opportunity? Because when you aim your attention deliberately, you start shaping how you experience the world. And that's where the change actually begins. So, like the video if this helped, subscribe for the rest of the series, and comment down below what is something you started noticing everywhere once it became important to you.